Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. This is immigration attorney Moumita. I'm coming to you live to talk to you about immigration and to see the questions that you may have on your mind today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. I wanted to come on here for just a short period of time to answer some immigration questions and to also talk with you about what exactly is extreme cruelty. A lot of you are following me because you've heard me talk about marriage problems and the fact that if you are married to a United States citizen or to a green card holder, if you want them to help you apply for a green card, or if they have applied for a green card for you, but you are having a lot of marital problems, what are the chances that you can still get your 10-year green card? And there is a way through a self-petition called VAWA where you can show that you are married to a US citizen or to a green card holder and that you are suffering something called extreme cruelty or battery in your marriage, and through this, you may be able to get a green card by yourself. You can continue the process even if your spouse divorces you, or you're separated, or they cancel your case, or they refuse to show up to the interview. So let's talk about what is extreme cruelty, because this is something that you really must understand, because the sad truth is that there are many immigration lawyers out there who don't even understand really what extreme cruelty is. And as a result, they might tell you that it's not possible for you to file for your green card by yourself. So let's talk about what is extreme cruelty. In short words, extreme cruelty is just emotional abuse. But not everybody can recognize that they're being subjected to emotional abuse. Sometimes it's hard to come to terms and accept that this is what's happening to you. So let me break down for you some of the common signs that your US citizen spouse might be putting you through emotional abuse and doing things that essentially prevent you from doing something or force you to do something. The simplest way that you can think about it is this. If your US citizen or green card holding spouse does things that basically make you feel compelled to be a certain way, or you feel forced that you don't have a freedom of choice, a freedom of will to do what you want, then that can overall show that there's a pattern of behavior that your US citizen spouse is doing to you that is exerting power and control over your actions and over your life. So what are some of these things? Number one, if your spouse is like really jealous all the time and they don't want you to go outside, they don't want you to hang out with your friends, they don't want you to talk, like dress a certain way. And then they start accusing you. They start accusing you of looking at other women, looking at other men, wanting attention from others. They start telling you that you're dressing slutty or that you're trying to grab attention. And they call you all the time to see where you are. They might get mad. They might start monitoring your movements. When your spouse behaves this way, then that is naturally going to make you feel like, oh my God, I don't want to make them upset. I don't want them to think that I don't love them. So I'm going to stop talking to my friends. I'm going to stop going outside. I'm going to go stop having a beer with the guys after work. I'm going to dress more conservatively because I don't want my spouse to think that I'm looking for other attention, right? So number one, that's one way that your spouse might be exerting power and control over your life. Number two, if your spouse says things to you that deplete your self-confidence. So why this is really important for you to understand is this. When a person is constantly saying negative things about you or talking about your flaws, and then it starts out that way where they might start out small and say, oh, you should do this because you're not really good at this other, at cooking. Your English is not that good, so let me speak for you. But then it might escalate. It might escalate to them also cursing you out, humiliating you in front of others. How many of you out there have had a fight with your spouse in public where they scream things at you in front of others, and it makes you feel worse because others are now seeing it and observing what's happening to you, and it just makes things a lot worse, right? All of these are signs of verbal abuse, especially if your spouse is cursing you out. That is definitely verbal abuse. Now, what about if your spouse tells you that you don't know what you're talking about? You're crazy. You're imagining things. Why do you take things so seriously? You can't take a joke, even though what they've said really hurts you a lot. And then they dismiss it. They completely dismiss it. And then they want to say that, oh, you're being too serious. You can't take a joke. That is called minimizing, also denying, and then blaming you for your own reactions, right? Here, the bottom line is that when you have one or two or three of these things, usually it's actually part of a pattern of a larger behavior. And this is really what may end up constituting what is called extreme cruelty. And even with these simple things, you may qualify to do VAWA by yourself. And if other attorneys have told you, or if you are underneath the impression that you cannot qualify for VAWA unless your spouse has laid a hand on you, that is simply incorrect. And the law itself says that VAWA is approvable for people who have suffered either extreme cruelty or battery. Now, what is battery? Battery is going to be our more serious, like our more physical forms of abuse that can include anything from slapping, hitting, punching, kicking, to even if your spouse pressures you to have sex, or if you find out later that your spouse has had sex with somebody else and now they're having unprotected sex with you and you might be exposed to other, diseases and things like that, then you don't have, they don't have your consent to do that, right? And that can actually constitute battery as well. So if you have gone through any of these situations, the bottom line is that if you are undocumented, or if you are in the green card process, if you are looking to get your green card, you may qualify for VAWA. And now is the time to call an attorney who knows what they're doing and who believes in you. You can give us a call at 212-248-7907, okay? And guys, don't delay, because this is an election year. And while I don't want to fearmonger, I don't want to get anyone scared, if you have been delaying and doing something about your case because you think that it's better to stay silent and to not have something in the works, you're not necessarily safer, right? You're not necessarily safer. And sometimes it's actually better to have something in the process, okay? Now, I also want to point out that for those of you out there who don't have a legal entry to the United States, if you have an illegal entry to the United States, you don't have entry with permission, VAWA is still a way for you to get your green card without leaving the US. So if you are waiting for your interview in Ciudad Juarez or wherever because you did not enter legally and you've gone to another attorney, your spouse started helping you file for the I-130 and they were supposed to do the waiver for you. And now, these cases take, 4 or 5 years sometimes to complete. And during this time, your spouse is constantly threatening you with divorce, kicking you out, telling you that they're going to cancel the case, telling you that they want to be with other people, cheating on you, and doing these other things to you. I want you to know that you may not need to leave the country to get your green card. And on top of that, we may be able to help you get your work permit and a travel document so you can actually travel to see the people that you love who you have not seen for years. So take my number down, 212-248-7907. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I have been practicing immigration law for the past 14 years, and I believe that you make America great already, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and answer some questions. And again, my number is 212-248-7907. Even though today's a Saturday, our lines are open, so if you want to make an appointment, you can call us. But we do have a case evaluation fee of $150. If we are not able to help you, if we cannot take your case, then you would get a refund of that, okay? All right, so hello, Mr. Tusk. Let's answer some questions. From Garita is asking, I'm a U.S. born citizen and one of my parents is diagnosed with schizophrenia. Is there a way to ask for a petition from Garita Arzua? Garita, I would just say give us a call. So give us a call, Garita, 212-248-7907. Now, a lot of you who have parents, if you're a U.S. citizen and you want to sponsor your parents, you want to help your parents because you care about them and you want them to have a legal status, you don't want them to get deported, but they have a problem of not having a legal entry. We have to look for various sorts of ways to see how we can qualify them, and there may be options for them. So call us, Garita. The only way for us to find out how we can help your mom or dad is to actually ask some more questions to find out, some more facts. Now, if your parent has a schizophrenia, that by itself is not necessarily something that will disqualify them, but they will need to go through a medical exam and be cleared by a doctor for that. Can someone with a B misdemeanor renew DACA from Nesky Pi? Nesky Pi, I think it's going to depend on what the misdemeanor is for, because for DACA, the most serious things are going to be involving the most serious types of criminal convictions that can put your DACA status at jeopardy is going to be things involving, violence or drug charges and things like that. So for us to analyze, now, if you have any sort of criminal history, whether you were arrested and the charges were dismissed, or you were just like brought in by the police and nothing was ever charged to you, this is stuff that you have to disclose to immigration, because if you don't, they can take it the wrong way and say that you committed fraud. And each of your arrests has to be properly analyzed. And the only way that we can analyze things from a criminal perspective for an immigration case is to actually see the certificates of disposition that you have. What that means in immigration, what that really means, a certificate of disposition, is what is the final outcome in your criminal case. A lot of people will come to us and they'll bring like the police report, they'll bring like the criminal complaint, but that is not giving us the information that we need to analyze your case. We actually need to see what the court has held that you are guilty of or not guilty of from your arrest, okay? One Johnson Ekweme is asking, if my wife doesn't want to see my daughter anymore, can this be used as well because she hates me for not giving her another child? From One Johnson, I'm so sorry to hear that. So here is the thing. If you are married to somebody, and we were just working on a case about this yesterday. If you ended up having marital problems where your spouse could not get pregnant, or they suffer a miscarriage or something happens and they start blaming you for all those things, usually more things may be happening, and that may be part of a pattern of abuse, okay? So you can give us a call, 1-Johnson-212-248-7907. Latoya Lindo, Latoya, how long does it take your office to mail out EAD cards? We've gotten, so Latoya, I do have to say that we've been getting a lot, so it's just a little bit of a process for us to get them out, but usually you should be receiving it within 1 to 2 weeks after we get it in our office. So just call us, Latoya, if you're still waiting for yours and you haven't heard back from us. Okay, Shelly Ann, while waiting, can you get a work permit? How long should the I-130 stage take before approval? And while waiting, can you get a work permit? From Shelly Ann. Shelly Ann, great question. If you are the spouse of a citizen and you have filed an I-130 and you're in the United States, you will not get a work permit automatically just because you filed an I-130. You actually have to file the form I-485 as well. And whether or not you can file your I-485 is going to depend on, one, whether you are eligible to file the I-485, and number two, whether or not you are the spouse of a green card holder or the spouse of a U.S. citizen. Now, if you are the spouse of a green card holder, then you cannot file your I-485 until your priority date is current. And the priority date is determined by the visa bulletin that is published every single month by the Department of State. You can just Google visa bulletin, and then it's going to give you this little chart, and it's going to tell you the date up to which they are processing visa applications. And if your date is comes after this date, then that means that your priority date is not yet current. But for the most part, if you're the spouse of a U.S. citizen and and they filed an I-130 for you, and you have like no admissibility problems to the U.S., then you're generally eligible to file the I-485. But of course, every case is different. So Shelly Ann, if you have filed the I-485, then you can file, if you file your I-485, then you are eligible to file your I-765 and I-131, usually for your green card application. And that will take about, I would say, about 6 to 10 months to receive. Latoya, and we'll be in touch. Latoya, don't worry, I got you. I'll have Emily take a look through her stack of work permits that she's working through right now to see if yours is waiting in there. Okay. All right. Let's see what other questions I have. Apple Bottom Diva, I'm going through this and I have my daughter with me. Apple Bottom Diva, I am so sorry. This is even harder. So if you are going through marital problems and you also have your child with you that you've brought from outside the country, and they're also they're witnessing you go through it, they're being affected by it too, I can't imagine how difficult that must be, because that must make it worse, right? That must make it worse for you. And I do want to let you know that when you file for VAWA, if your child is underneath 21 and they're inside the United States, then you can actually you can also add them onto your case as a derivative and help them get a green card. So a lot of times when you are married to a United States citizen, they have to file an I-130 for your child as well. So they have to do separate cases. And sometimes that creates as many problems in your marriage as if not, because they might start complaining, right? Because it costs so much money to file an I-130 these days. They might complain like, oh, why do I have to bring your kids? Or, your kids can't live with me anymore. Or like, let's bring your kids later. Let's do their case later. And that creates a problem for you, because as a mother, as a father, you are going to want your kids' well-being to be forefront, right? Even over your own case. And when your spouse also makes a problem for your case, and then they don't want to do your kids' cases either, then you're just kind of stuck, right? You probably feel terrible because now you've brought your kids to the US, and or you're separated from your kids because they're back home and you can't see them, right? Let me tell you that VAWA is a way that you can actually do your kids' cases as well by yourself. And you don't need your spouse's help with that or the permission for that. You just need yourself, okay? So the time is now. You can give us a call, 212-248-7907. And that's about all the time that I have, because it is Saturday and I'm going to go take my son out for ice cream. I hope you guys can all have a lovely Saturday as well. Sending you my love, sending you my hugs. If you're a current client watching, thank you for being our client and for watching. And if you're looking to be a client, please give us a call at 212-248-7907. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care.